Hiya, welcome to another video. This set features glitter accent nails and encapsulated roses. As usual, I have already sculpted my clear base and filed it to shape. I am going to begin my design by placing Glam & Glitz Ashley onto all of the nails apart from the ring finger nail. I start at the cuticle area and blend down using gravity to create the flush cuticle area. I just want to make sure that I have enough of the product so that you can't see through it, but I'm not concerned about structure as I'm going to create the structure out of clear. I'm then going to place a second bead further down the nail, blending it up and down to make sure that I have full coverage. So later on, as I am doing the index finger, I realised when I was filing that I filed it too thin. So I decided to make it a bit wider, which made me want to place the bead of Ashley at the tip first and work up to the cuticle, which then I did for the rest of the nails. So my point with this is you can do it any way you want. Some people start at the cuticle first, some people start at the tip. It just depends on how you're working. I automatically go in the cuticle first because that's what I do when I'm doing smile lines. It's just habit. It's entirely up to you how you work. Starting at the cuticle area first is how you would have to apply if you were using a one bead method. As I was doing the thumb, I noticed that it wasn't even coverage on the index finger that I'd just done. So now I'm just going to go back in and just fill in this side bit, just to make sure that I've blended it in completely so it's not lumpy. Now it's time for the glitter accent nail, and for this I am using Glam & Glitz Oasis. Oasis is a pre-mixed glitter powder, and it's always important that you give a shake or a mix of the pot before you use a powder like this, as you need to make sure that there's a good ratio of glitter to acrylic. However, I didn't do that this time, and there is more glitter to acrylic powder at the top of the pot, which means that I've picked up glitter, mainly glitter, and hardly any acrylic powder, and it means it's too dry. And that means that it's not going to be applied very well on the nail. So now what I'm doing is I'm just giving it a stir with the end of my acrylic brush to get that ratio better, and I'm going to come back in with a wetter bead that has a lot more of acrylic powder on it. And as you can see, it's a lot easier to work with and it is spreading on the nail much better. I'm not worried about creating structure with Oasis, as I am going to create the structure when I cap in clear. Even though I've got good coverage of that glitter around the cuticle area, I'm going to come in with a wet bead of that better mix of acrylic powder just to seal in the glitter underneath. Okay, so now it's time to do the encapsulated rose. For this, I'm going to use Glam & Glitz Smoke and Mirrors and my Glitter Bells 3D brush. The shape I want to create for the encapsulated rose is a spiral. And to do this, I paint the acrylic on with a very wet, very small bead, and I do it in sections, starting from the outside in. Once I have painted each section, I then use the flat side of my brush to press on to that acrylic to create the petal-like shape. It is important to press it as flat as possible because you don't want to make that nail bulky, which is why I do it in a spiral as well, so I'm not creating more layers than I need. Once I have done each section and I'm happy with it, I then move on to the next part of the spiral. Sometimes when doing this, especially with a darker colour, it can muddy the underneath acrylic, so to clean the area, I just clean my brush, I wet it with the monomer, and I sort of clean the inside of the spiral so that you can see the definition. Because I'm working wet with this acrylic, it has given me more time to play with it. So I did try to create the spiral centre, but I didn't have enough acrylic. So I've taken off the little bit that I pulled into the middle and left that section where it is, and I'm going to create the centre with another bead. Painting it the section like I have all of the others, except I'm going to wipe the excess off my brush, and I'm going to use the tip of my 3D brush to keep the acrylic in the shape I want it, pressing it flat and then reshaping again, because this is a centre, it wants to go thin, it doesn't want to have a big wide petal area like the rest of it. Once I'm happy with the overall shape of the flower, I'm then going to finish off by filling in any pale parts, or if I needed to, cleaning away the centre just to create that definition again. Once I'm happy with the overall shape and look of the flower, I create the centre by placing a small bead at the end of the spiral. I then create an indent with the tip of the 3D brush. On other sets, I would then flatten the petals out like with the rest of the spiral, but my client has asked it to be glittered, so this time I'm filling in the hole with Oasis. It's now time to cap in clear. To do this, I get a bead of acrylic, I place it at the cuticle area, pointing the finger down, I then pull that acrylic down the nail to create the structure and the strength. Something I find really useful is wetting the design underneath. I use the monomer to wet it on my brush, and I just find that helps to create a really glass-like finish underneath. There's no air bubbles trapped between each layer of acrylic, and I just feel, especially when it's important to see the design underneath, that you want that glass-like finish. Once I've finished capping, I'm going to file to shape, and then it will be time to top coat. Now it's time for the top coat. I'm using using nail Camino wipe top coat and applying it to the nail, curing it under the lamp for 30 seconds LED, and then we're done and it looks beautiful. Make sure you cap the ends of the top coat as you don't want it to flake off the nail. Here is the finished design. I hope you like it. And I hope you subscribe. Thank you for watching.